Hey guys, how's it going? ItZMuRdA here with a patch note overview for today's patch, May 20th, 2014. We are talking about implants, the medic update, new NS shotgun certs being not where they used to be on your UI, among other things. It's been the first video in a long time, so I apologize for that. Been extremely busy. I've been still trying to stream as much as I can though, so I do appreciate everybody's patience and understanding. But anyway, I have no idea how long this video is going to be. We're kind of just winging it. I've had a handful of experience with this stuff on the public test server so far. Haven't actually tried it out yet, just getting home. Haven't tried it out yet on the live servers. But we're going to go through it. We'll try to not make it an hour long, but we'll see what we can do. Where, you know, on things that I can just kind of discuss but not go into so much depth, let you try out or look into yourself, I will. Anyway, I guess we'll do, you know, just top-down approach from the patch notes, which, of course, this will be linked in the video description below, as well as the implant video from the previous episode of Friday Night Ops with Maggie and Luke Sigmund when they went over implants and whatnot, just for more information for you guys. Anyway, cert window, first stuff. So implants are in the game. We'll talk about that in a second. But the cert cert button down here has been completely replaced by the nanocycler, which I'll also get into discussion when we talk about implants in a second. But just so you know, if you're looking for your certs, they are no longer located there. They're all still in the game and located kind of more or less where they were also located before, that being on the actual classes and vehicle pages. So for instance, if you're looking for Sunder certs, you go to your Sunder, you click Sunder certs, and this has like the passive Sunder stuff. It doesn't actually have all of the stuff listed because you would want to go to like utility to get a utility slot item, or to a weapon, specific weapon, to get certs for it. Same functionality for all vehicles, as well as classes. You'll notice combat medic certs down here. We'll take you to triage, for instance, because that's the only combat medic passive. A little confusing at first when you're used to that giant cert accordion that I kind of actually have come to appreciate. But all your stuff is still here. You'll notice light assault and heavy assault don't actually have something down there, since there isn't anything inherent for them that you would have this for, like you would with hacking or triage or so on and so forth. But all of your stuff, for instance, if you want different jump jets, you go to ability. If you want a different suit slot, you go to suit. If you want, you know, something for your weapon attachments, you go to your weapons. So that's all still here. However, it's I don't believe it's showcased how it used to be anywhere, which bothers me a little bit, if I'm honest. I liked seeing that entire everything that there is for a given class, for comparison, and for as you're getting close to 100%ing a certain class, or, you know, getting everything, you want to see what you might not have on a specific character. I feel like you have to thumb through a lot more screens like this, rather than just hitting the button, you know, popping the you know, the drop down and opening up that group and seeing what all you have and don't have. But they're all here. I understand that they needed to conserve space on the UI without adding a new button entirely, and this is what we have nonetheless. I just wanted you guys to have a heads up in case you were like, how the hell do I buy certs? So, or, you know, use certs to buy upgrades. So that's where they're at. For the squad leader stuff, it is now under social. It has its own separate tab called leadership certs. Of course, you still have to be BR10, and I'm not on this character, but that's in there, and it looks just how it always used to. Anyway, moving along to the implants, I'm going to read through this stuff first, because these are actually really good bullet points explaining the entire system. So if you don't know anything about them, I'm just going to read through it, and then I'll actually show you how it works in game. So it's an additional thing that you can use to augment your loadouts situationally by equipping combat implants that have some sort of mechanic or certain benefit to them that you can use per loadout, just like you would a utility slot item or a grenade or something along those lines. As I said, slotted in custom loadouts. They're also the first time that we're seeing a loot system of sorts in PlanetSide 2, as they are occasionally awarded as you earn experience. So you kill somebody, you capture a base, you do something that awards experience, and you have a chance to earn an implant. It'll be a pop-up notification that says, hey, you got an implant, and it'll show up in your nanocycler screen where the certs used to be. You can also buy them with both cert points and station cash, just like weapons, for instance, that are purchasable with both currencies. And they're powered by the implant power core, which uses energy basically as a consumable, as a resource, just like you need infantry resources to resupply grenades and medkits, for instance. When your energy is completely drained, you don't have the effect of any implants until it's replenished, but you don't lose any implants. The implants themselves are permanent. They are replenished, or the energy rather, by using chargers. There's a few different types. They all do the same thing. It's just a matter of how much implant resource or implant charge it gives your power core when you use a charger. You can only buy one type in the depot, and the others can be crafted or found, but we'll get into that when we actually show an example of it. Chargers, much like implants, can also be found as drops per se, as you are earning experience, and can be bought with certs or station cash in the depot. There are 3 tiers of all of the implants. The higher tier, the more powerful. You're going to see tier 1, 2, and 3. Not all implants have 3 tiers. Some are just a flat benefit that you get, and that's that. Some of them are reduces fall damage by X amount or X distance, and then the next tier of that would be a further distance or what have you, and that's how the tiers work. Pretty straightforward on that front. And use the nanocycler to both inventory your implants as well as break down ones that you don't want. Because if you buy a bunch of implants or you find a bunch of implants, you can end up with a ton of the same type, and you only really need one of the same type at the end of the day. And there's different crafting methods or what have you that you can use to break them down and create new implants, or actually break them down into chargers so that you can charge your other implants. I showed you where it was accessed from, and there is also a help menu that has full instructions for it. So, with that being said, we'll jump into this. This is what it looks like, at base when you have no implants at all. Otherwise, they would show up down here. And this is what the crafting looks like. You need to select at least 2 implants to craft something. If you go into here and you go into the implants category in the depot, you'll see the options. You have a 3-pack, a 5-pack, and an ultra charger. As far as the breakdown of the cost, the 5-pack is more efficient, but only by a little bit. They're both a very similar price. I'm surprised there wasn't like a 10-pack or something like that that gave you a much greater savings rather than just having 2 really similar choices. But anyway, if you want to break it down, the 3-pack, you're looking at about 33 station cash each at the base price of 100. If you have a membership, it's 10% off, so 30 station cash each, or about 42 certs each. For the 5-pack, you're looking at about 30 station cash each, or 27 if you have the membership, and 40 certs each for the pack. So it's a difference of like anywhere ranging from min to max of like 6 station cash or 2 certs, depending on membership level and which pack you buy for each implant. So it's pretty minute. If you had 90 or 100 station cash that you wanted to get rid of and you didn't have 135 or 150, you could buy a 3-pack and it not be the end of the world. But I personally would probably almost always buy the 5-pack if I was going to. As far as the charger, you only can use the ultra charger, or rather you can only buy the ultra charger, which is 500 station cash or 450 discounted with membership, or 750 certs. So it's a little bit more of a hefty purchase, and it gives you 10,000 energy. It's a one-time use. You buy it, you use it, and it increases this energy to 10,000. So basically, if I was to do that now, because I have a bunch of certs on this character that I don't necessarily need to worry too much about, I'm going to buy one of it for 750 certs, and I haven't really done all of the theory crafting or the math or anything like that on this stuff. I don't really know. It's up to you if you decide to buy any of these things. If you think it's better to buy it with certs or it's better to buy it with station cash. 750 certs is kind of expensive for something that's only 450 station cash with membership. So I'd kind of lean almost towards buying it with that. But still, at the same time, I don't know if you want to spend $5 on each charger for how fast you could potentially go through them if you're constantly using an implant, especially a higher tier one. The 5-pack, if you have a bunch of extra certs, it might be better off to spend the 200 station cash, but then again, or the 200 certs, but then again, the station cash is a very low value as well, and not a lot of useful items other than just like little decals and stuff like that, or hood ornaments can you really buy for that little amount of station cash. So you may want to consider that, especially if you just have a little bit sitting around left over or something like that. But that's ultimately up to you at the end of the day. You can crunch some numbers if you want to compare it to buying a weapon for 700 station cash or 1,000 certs, just as a base, I guess, for comparison. But anyway, enough about that. I just bought one, and I There we go. If you click, you can also buy them from here. So if you click the implant energy, it shows you how much. It plays a cool sound and animation, so I won't talk. And you can use this button to charge. You can also set it to auto charge. It's pretty cool stuff. So anyway, I now have that much. Of course, I consumed the charger. I could buy more if I wanted to, but for the purposes of this video, I'm not going to. But I will buy some implants. So I'm not going to buy the 3-pack. As I explained, I'm going to buy the 5-pack. I have a handful of certs on this character, so I'll buy one just to show you what it looks like at first. It pops up. It's a random thing, kind of like you know, buying a deck of cards for a trading card game or something along those lines. Hey, Battle Hardened, first try on a character I don't play. Anyway, so that's basically what that looks like when you buy that. And as you can tell, I got 2 of the Hold Breath Tier 1 implant. I got 1 EOD HUD Tier 2, a Regen 1, and Battle Hardened is one of not only the best implants, arguably, at least in my opinion, but one of the ones that doesn't have a tier, so you don't see a 1, 2, or a 3 after it. So anyway, I'll buy some more just to give you an idea so we can craft with some and stuff like that. But I did end up getting a Tier 2. I don't believe you can get Tier 3 other than crafting them. You might be able to find them, but I'm not sure. I don't think you can get them out of the packs, though. This says, right, contains 5 implants with a chance of getting Tier 2 implants. Contains 3 implants with a chance of getting a Tier 2 implant. So this can only have 1 in it, essentially, if you're reading that correctly. This could, excuse me, have multiples. Maybe another reason to buy it, but I mean, I guess that's okay. If I was to buy another one, you can enjoy this animation. Again, get another Tier 2, this time Hold Breath, 2 Tier 1s of Safe Landing, another Battle Hardened, and another Tier 1 EOD HUD. I'll buy a few. I'll see if you can, yeah, you can just kind of skip through this if you want. Whoops. Okay, so now where am I at? And I'll go over the implant types, that at least the common ones that you might notice, because there are a handful that they've started out with, and I guess this is a good kind of doing it live type of way to take a look at what buying a whole bunch of packs looks like, how many you realistically need, because this character is not one that I play. It's, you kind of just accumulated certs over time, so I probably should have been doing this on the test server, but whatever. It'll give, I think, at least a good overview of the system, as well as kind of give you an idea of how many you need to buy or whatever if you're trying to get certain things, or what the odds are, at least for one person, because I'm going to have to do this for each of my characters. Of course, they're not account-wide, and decide how many packs I want to buy, if I want to spend station cash or certs, and so on and so forth. But anyway, we've probably bought, I don't even know, I don't remember how many I had here. I want to say we bought like at least 10 packs right now. We could probably add up the implants and know. I just wanted to try to get all of the different implant types in front of me, since that was not included in the patch notes. There might be a list, and you know, I can link that in the video description, but I wanted to at least buy a handful of these so that you not necessarily had every tier, but for the demonstration I would have all or most of the different types at least. So Battle Hardened, just to give you an idea from what we have so far of the implants that we have, and I'm not sure that we have all of them in here because it looks like we're lacking a little bit, unless they ended up releasing with less implants, which I think they may have. There's also certain implants that are like you craft up to, you're not necessarily going to just find them on a purchase, and unfortunately I don't have those listed off the top of my head. But I remember when I was toying around with this on the test server, there was a handful that I would create that were of a higher tier, and not something that you can necessarily just buy. But anyway, one more purchase, we're down to 5k certs from 9,500, and we'll be in decent shape. I don't know if that really even did me anything. So anyway, Battle Hardened, one of the best implants, in my opinion, just from an infantry perspective. So it reduces your camera shake, which is something that I think people have been less than a fan of since alpha, since beta, since tech test, myself included. So both from explosions as well as infantry flinch when you're hit by enemy fire. I don't think it's the clear winner implant, if you will, but I do think that it's a extremely strong choice, probably something I'll end up using a lot, and I don't know what else to really say about it, but totally up to you. That you might find things that are more to your liking. I should also mention that you get a default implant Okay, I don't know why I didn't see that. Enhanced targeting is a default implant, which, if you're familiar with PlanetSide 1, kind of similar idea. It displays your health bar when you're aiming at somebody who's spotted, whether you spot them or they're spotted by something else. Does not show how much shield they have, and increases the identify friendly or foe range of your HUD reticle and crosshair and whatnot, if you will. So how far out you have to be before, if you put your crosshair on somebody, it to turn red if they're an enemy, as well as when they're spotted and targeted, to see how much health they have left. Kind of like what was standard a long time ago before it was changed to have a much shorter range. Now you can only like see health bar of spotted enemies within 10 meters. This expands it out, and that's there by default. All you need to use it is the actual implant energy, and you start with 1800 of that. You can also tell when you mouse over that different implants use different amounts of energy, largely based on the tier of implant that they are. Like enhanced targeting uses half of a point of energy every second. This tier 2 implant uses 3/4 of a point of energy. Again, the tier 1 of that uses 0.5. So I think that's fairly consistent with tier 1, 2, and 3 using a half, 3/4, and 1 whole, I believe. But we'll try to see if we can make a tier 3 implant here. But just to go through the rest of the ones that I have real quick, the EOD HUD displays enemy explosives within 10 meters on your HUD for rank 1. It's within 15 meters for rank 2. I believe it's 20 meters for rank 3. That's a good example of a progression of a tiered implant. Hold breath as well. Increases your hold breath duration for when you're sniping and so on and so forth. Non-max, okay, whatever, tooltip. By 25% and then 50% for rank 2. I'm not sure what exactly the number is off the top of my head. I apologize for rank 3. Don't know if it's 75 or if it increases more. Marker is one of the ones that does not have different tiers, and it's basically really straightforward. It is a tier 2 implant, as you can tell. It drains the 0.75 energy per second. It says tier 2. It's blue in color, just like Battle Hardened is tier 1, even though it only has one tier, just as far as how it's classified. And it auto-spots enemies who you damage, so that you don't have to hit the Q button, I guess. I don't know if it's worth giving up that, press of the Q button, or not, especially since a lot of time, at least I choose not to spot somebody, just because I don't want for them to hear the call out. But anyway, it is there. Regen, another really popular implant that was semi-broken at some point on test and so on and so forth. I'll have to try it out in reality. This would probably be the other alternative to Battle Hardened that I'd be using most of the time, and I'd want to be going for the tier 3 version of it. The tier 1, it regens 4% infantry health every second when you're not taking damage. Tier 2 regens 5, and I believe the tier 3 is 6. Safe landing, again, is one of the ones that I referenced earlier, and a lot of the stuff you'll notice is non-max, so it's all infantry related, or at least intended to be, as they do have an implant slot, but something to keep in mind, I guess, at least when you're selecting. Safe landing, normal fall starts damaging at 20 meters, and lethal fall starts at 60 meters. This is actually a really good example of this. I'm not sure what rank he had in the video on Friday Night Ops that I will link in the description, but he jumped from Howling Pass, like A point area or near that, down to the ground and like took no damage. So that was pretty crazy. This one starts at 30 and lethal at 90. So I'm assuming it could have even been a tier 3, which starts even higher. Again, not sure if it's worth sacrificing unless you jump off of really high things often, or it could just be convenient. Keep in mind that you can just change these out per loadout. It doesn't even have to be specific to your heavy. It can be, specific to your loadout, which is pretty cool. So if you have a specific loadout for when you're fighting in an area where you just want to get to the enemy really quickly because you're starting way high up and you want to just jump off something, whatever, throw the safe landing on. So that's something to keep in mind. I don't know if I should buy more, if I can actually grab more. I'll craft some so far, because I know I'm missing like awareness and whatnot, I believe, unless some of them didn't go into the game. So anyway, just to see the crafting, and you can kind of see, like, I have 18 safe landing ones, right? I only need one. I only need none, really, because I have safe landing 2. So that's how you can get into crafting really easily. So, for instance, take my Battle Hardened. It says select 2 or more implants to start construction. I don't know where. Okay, let me pop this up first, because this has your basically your crafting guide, right? So 3 of tier 1 is another tier 1 implant. 5 of tier 1 is a tier 2 implant. 3 of tier 3 of tier 2 is another tier 2. So basically 3 of the same tier. It can be different implants. It can be 2 battle hardened and a regen 1. It doesn't matter. We'll give you another tier 1. 3 of a tier 2 will give you another tier 2. 5 of a tier will give you one of the next tier up. So you would need 5 tier 2 to create a tier 3. And then of course the 3 of the tier 3 give you a different tier 3. And if you combine a 1 and a 2, you get a basic charger, and a 2 and a 3, and you get a an ultra charger. So just to kind of see that, what it looks like, I'll throw 3 battle hardens on there. You hit the construct button, it takes them out of your inventory, plays more awesome animations, and gives you another tier 1 implant. I don't know how often that's really necessary. You might want to just instead be crafting up, because if instead, whoops. Be careful when you click things, it'll like scroll you back up and make you want to select other things, especially dependent on what is remaining, because it will like gray out and whatnot, things that you can't include. So there I put 5 safe landings, and they didn't have to all be 5 safe landing, they could just be 5 green implants, and it will at least make a tier 2 this time. So that might be a better usage than necessarily throwing 3 of them into another of the same tier, unless you're recycling tier 3 implants or something along those lines. For instance, if you want to make the charger, the basic charger, you take a tier 2 and to tier 1, you construct, and if you didn't know how I got to that menu, it's this help button up top, and there's the supercharger, which is the base one. So this is actually really cheap energy, I guess, if you will. It only gives you 1,000 as opposed to the ultra charger, which you buy or can craft, which gives 10,000. So yeah, I mean, you can use it in a pinch. When you need 1,000 energy, you'll probably often have a tier 1 and a tier 2 to just combine. Those are the ones that you'll find easily too when gaining experience. But by comparison, this one gives far more energy. For what that's worth, just to keep in mind. So if you do have the extra tier 2 and tier 3s to combine at some point, you're going to want to craft them into the ultra charger. And at a certain point, when you get all of the implants, or at least all of the ones you want, that is what you're going to be doing. You're going to be maintaining charge. So this video is going to be really long. But I wanted to do a proper video on implants anyway, so hopefully somebody out there finds some usefulness in this. Anyway, I won't craft every single possible thing here. I'm going to do something like this to create a actually I probably should have done 5, just because creating another tier 2 can just get me something redundant like that. See, like that was a waste. There, so I put 5 different tier 2s in there. I'm guaranteed a tier 3, and it's a regen 3, so it's one of the ones I already have, but nonetheless it is a regen. I might just spend like all of the rest of my certs on this character for the purpose of demonstration. I wanted to grab a few other implants that I didn't already have, at least, without necessarily taking up all the time to just sit here and craft stuff. I'll leave some available, but I think this is going to be faster than slamming 5 tier 1 implants, but you should probably already be able to get a good idea of how you can use this system, and just the fact that I dumped 5,500 certs already, don't think that you have to. This is really overkill. In all likelihood, if I was going to use battle hardened and regen 99% of the time, I got battle hardened in my first try, and you don't even necessarily need to buy them. You can go out there and kill people, and especially for a tier 1 implant, get it pretty easily. And I got a regen 3 already, so I'm like done. And that was actually my first tier 3 craft, so I could have done that a long time ago. But I'm trying to, get more of a variety here, or just give you an additional idea of how it works. I'm being careful to leave one remaining, just so clear vision. There you go. There's a tier 3 implant that I got by combining 5 tier 2s that is only tier 3, and yeah, it uses 1 energy per second. Protects infantry from concussion and flash grenade effects. It's actually a pretty big one if that's something you're into, or you're playing competitively, and you don't want to have to deal with that, especially the concussion. So that's helpful. That's one of the things I wanted to show. Technically, I would always keep at least one of the highest tier of each implant. So like, I wouldn't get rid of this Hold Breath 2 right now because I don't have a Hold Breath 3. but just for the purposes of crafting for this character that I'm not even going to actually use, there's the other one that I was talking about, awareness. So that's also a tier 3 implant only, and that's the one that auto-spots enemies who damage or kill you as long as they're not using a suppressor. Take that for what it's worth, I suppose. Now you can go up here if you ever need, and I could combine all 3 of those if I wanted to get another tier 3, although that's a bit of a stretch unless you end up with so many of them. However, if for instance, say like I don't really care about awareness, I could combine that with regen, tier 3 and a tier 2, and now I'm getting my ultra charger, which is, you know, a 750 cert item, if you will, which will bring me up another 10,000 energy. So that's something that you're probably going to want to do with them as you run out of things to do, per se. I will use, and regen 3 is 6.67% regen for that matter, so I'll use I guess regen as my example. I think there might still be a few other implants that I didn't manage to craft right here, but I got the ones that I was thinking of off the top of my head, at least. So you can see how fast you can essentially do that. If you wanted to sit here and, you know, just smash all of these extra ones, you could get a lot of chargers or just a lot of tier 2 implants to turn into tier 3 implants, and so on and so forth. But to actually show how it works, I can, you know, jump into Light Assault, load out 1, throw on regen 3, and you'll see my 22,000 energy. You'll also see down in the bottom of my HUD, for centralized HUD, the implant that I'm using, the regen 3, the plus sign with all the little plus signs around it next to my Light Assault bar, as well as like a battery meter, which doesn't really give great amount of information, unfortunately, but it will tell you when you're running low. And now, since I have it equipped, I am already draining this energy at that rate for all tier 3 implants of 1 per second. So you can see this going down with the seconds. Obviously, you know, 23,000 seconds is a good bit of time still, so it's not something that you have to maintain constantly, like you might have to, you know, spam, oh, I'm at 750 infantry resources, let me buy more medkits or whatever. But it is something to be mindful of, nonetheless, and I think before long, especially if you play a lot or if you invest a lot of certs or station cash into this, the implant metagame is just going to become maintaining your energy via you know, buying chargers, crafting chargers, finding chargers, and then just making the intelligent decisions of, okay, I'm in a situation where I do want to use this or I don't want to use this, and switching them out on a per loadout basis. So that's how that works, and it's just, you know, always on when it's in your loadout and when that loadout is equipped, and it's draining already. So one thing I guess do be mindful of when you're just sitting around, if you are, I try not to sit around too often, but if you are, you probably want to at least have, you know, take an implant off, or have a loadout that doesn't have one on, so you're not just draining. You know, if you're prepping for ops or something, sitting in Sanctuary for a half hour, you don't want to be draining, you know, 1 energy per second or something like that during that for no reason. So yeah, something to keep in mind as far as that goes. I think we basically covered generally how they work. I wouldn't have the time to really go through each and every one and what it does, but you can find, you know, full lists and you can try them out for yourself, and so on and so forth. It's a controversial topic. I really think SOE vastly improved the original implant design when they went back to the drawing board a few months back. I'll save my opinions, I guess, for another video or for the stream, but I'm excited about it just because it's new content, new moment-to-moment gameplay, new things for me to be concerned about, or new strategic decisions for me to make, and things along those lines. So I think that's cool. I worry, I guess, that it'll become a little bit just passive after the first week or 2 or 3, especially if you're somebody who plays a lot. You have all your implants, you have a ton of charge, and it's just kind of like something that doesn't get thought of too much, or just kind of almost seems like it doesn't even exist. But hopefully the ability to change them out on a per loadout basis and the ability to find them as drops and things like that will actually still kind of keep it exciting and stuff like that for the long term. Anyway, there are other things in this pattern. We're at like a half hour already. So I might come back to medic weapons, or at least later on. I'm trying to see what the best thing to do here is in terms of whatever, we can just do it. I'm gonna forget something if I go out of order. So I didn't get a really significant amount of time to try out the new assault rifles, but each empire got 1 new assault rifle for the combat medic class. The NC has basically a heavy hitting long range one. The Atros kind of surprised me a little bit since they already had the Reaper DMR, but this one does have a 30 round mag instead of 24, and I will try them out. Again, high damage, that's always good lately, especially. TR is kind of has the all-around balanced weapon approach, which is probably pretty good. I mean, they had a handful that were performing in very close quarters. I might have liked to have seen a long-range focused TR assault rifle alternative to the Saber 13 if you don't like burst weapons, that was really like kind of high damage, slow rate of fire, but still automatic. But that's just me. And VS has another more close to medium range alternative to like the HV45, for instance. And for what it's worth, why not? There's a new common pool shotgun. It's an NS shotgun, the first one of its kind, and at least tooltip wise, it has longer ranges than the other ones, just due to the pellet spread and so on and so forth. Anyway, I'll hop in and I'll hop on in VR training on the 3 different empires. Just give you a really quick. I'm not going to get into like this gun's good, this gun's bad, this one's better than that one, because I just haven't had enough time to spend with them yet. So forgive me for that. But do leave your comments and suggestions in the chat. And I try to stream as much as I can on ItZMuRdA.com. Or at ItZMuRdA.com if you're unfamiliar. So I'll probably be playing Medic a bit more and trying out the new stuff as well over there. So here's the Atros. If you compare it real quickly to the Reaper, which is what I will use for the comparison, if I could ever find it. Oh, I should probably scroll down further. You're going to see the same damage ranges. You're going to see that it is a little bit slower firing, but has better bullet velocity. You're going to see that it has an actual full magazine rather than the stunted one that the Reaper and the ACX-11 have, and it has slower reload speed to make up for that. I think that's all pretty fair if you're looking at it, you know, kind of on paper. No issues there. Can run an advanced forward grip, which is actually really interesting. Not sure you want to run the laser on it unless, I suppose you could, if you wanted to cover both ranges, but the hipfire isn't great by default since it's intended for long range. But it has a nice sound to it and feel to it. I think this is going to kind of be my type of weapon. I always really enjoy the slower firing, harder hitting weaponry. But I mean, you do have the DMR as an alternative. You also have the Carnage, which is really, really good all-around assault rifle. So especially if you're fond of weapons like the DMR or the ACX-11, or you know, any of those sort of weapons, even like the Pulsar C or the Cougar, or you know, whatever for VS and TR. I know I'm talking about carbines there, but just in general, those types of weapons, you might be interested in checking this one out. I would probably go advanced forward grip, high velocity, and 1x scope personally, but take that for what it's worth. I will hop on between TR and VS now. I'll also show you the shotgun as well as the pneumatic abilities. Just bear with me during the loading screen. Taking precious time out of our already very long video. Alright, so for the TR, new medic choice, you've got another balanced alternative. I'm not sure what to most closely compare it to. I will admit that assault rifle's probably my weapon type of least expertise out of all of them, just due to a lack of playing. By comparison, you could compare it to the default cycler. You could probably compare it to a few things. You could compare it to the NS11. But anyway, I will grab it. The torque. Compared to the cycler, you've got, you know, similar stuff. It's really better in every category with the exception of the damage, both the fall off and the min and max numbers for that matter. If you compare it to the NS11, you're going to see the NS11 being, you know, better stats in every category. That doesn't necessarily mean whatever, because you're looking at a very little difference in things like you know, ammo and muzzle velocity and whatnot, but you're looking at massive differences, for instance, in rate of fire. This firing at 857 RPM is pretty insanely high, which is probably why the damage is so low, a la the new Lynx carbine. But at the same time, it doesn't necessarily have the best hip fire coefficients, and is still kind of intended to be balanced and all around. As for attachment options, this is what we're looking at. I'd probably go HV still, even though the velocity is decent. I don't know, I guess it really depends. You could go soft point laser, but the hip fire isn't great. It's not bad, but you could do it. Or you could do HV forward grip. That hip fire is still workable, you know. With a high rate of fire, I might end up doing a soft point. At that range, you're going to have to burst it a bit, or aim down sights, but with the high rate of fire, it's still fairly controllable with, you know, manual recoil compensation. And something kind of interesting, because you usually don't see high rate of fire weaponry that will fire this well at a longer range. Of course, it's still not gonna take somebody out at extreme ranges so easily, or you might want to burst a bit. But this could certainly be, you know, your type of weapon, and it has amazing hipfire potential, which you don't see on a lot of assault rifles these days. Usually maybe just one per Empire. But even if you burst hipfire with the rate of fire at that range, you're in pretty good shape. So that might be what I run. And at that range, you're going to have your soft point coming into effect. That also reminded me, there's a rangefinder implant that I guess I didn't find, which as you're ADSing, it just gives you the distance to where you're aiming towards. So this actually comes in handy pretty well when you're trying to figure out things like the range at which soft point is effective and so on and so forth. But something to keep in mind. And as for VS, you're looking at another mostly close quarter alternative. I will compare it to the HV45 for you. So you have the Terminus, excuse me. Compared to HV45, you're looking at slightly lower rate of fire, but 769 is still really good. It kind of takes a Cougar approach, if you will, just in the fact that you're getting the same damage up front, but a better fall off. For instance, almost identical muzzle velocity, slightly faster, a considerably faster reload, and worse hip fire as a result. But it has the same hip fire coefficients, I believe, as the torque that we just tried. So you should still be able to do something with it, especially since you can throw an advanced laser sight on it and soft point. It's kind of meant for that. And there you can see a pretty decent cone of fire still. So it's not going to necessarily have the cone of fire of the HV45. Sounds pretty cool, but you can certainly do just as well, if not better than the torque with its hip fire out to the same ranges. You might want to burst a little bit still at ranges like that, or you might just want to ADS, especially since it feels very controllable and has better damage drop-off than its typical counterparts. It's a little bit harder to control, I'd say, at extreme ranges than the torque was, though. But given the better damage fall-off, you can still drop somebody pretty quickly at that range for a gun that is mostly intended for close quarters. So take that for what it's worth, I suppose. And we'll look at the new NS shotgun, the Baron, which of course comes in gold and black versions. We have to get the gold one at least for this. Typical shotgun stuff, I would go extended mag. I would not go slugs. And I suppose I should compare it to something. I don't know if... I suppose I'll compare it just to, like... It has what, 6 rounds by default, so I can compare it to like the Nova. Or are you Nova? Okay, so no, you know what? I should compare it to the whatchamacallit. Thanatos. There we go. Okay, that would probably be a better comparison. They both have 6 rounds by default. It has considerably greater damage drop off at range, as well as the min damage stopping point of 10 meters instead of 8, going out to 60 at 30 instead of 18, as well as a considerably higher muzzle velocity and pellet count for that matter. Shoots a little bit slower as a result, so it's not quite a pump. But if you're firing it, you know, basically more or less max rate of fire, that's about the rate of fire that you're going to get out of it. It's still going to be your 2-shot kill in close quarters, and for what that's worth, you can actually get some considerable range on it. This might be the one shotgun that I would recommend potentially trying slugs on, depending on how you're going to use it. I'm not a fan of slugs unless you're, you know, VS pre-nerf or a NC Max. And at that range, you're still going to pretty much empty the entire mag without killing somebody. But if it's something that you're on the run with, you want to be able to still do well in close quarters, I would probably still not go slugs. However, if you throw them on, you're going to end up having a little bit harder time killing people that are right in front of you, I'd say. Especially if you're on the move, you're going to be, you know, they're going to probably kill you before you kill them. Like if I'm trying to kill this guy and I'm on the move, it's like, it's not quite as effective. People who are literally at point blank range should still be fine. You should probably still get a 2-shot kill in most of those types of situations. However, where it's going to shine more is paced shots downrange that are going to be a far tighter spread, where you can, you know, 3-shot that person aiming down sights, 3-shot the infill not. So if you want to kind of use it as a little bit of a mid-range, almost like a scout rifle of sorts, you could throw slugs on it and probably be somewhat effective, but this is a little bit misleading when I'm standing still and my target's standing still. Kind of weighs in its favor. You're getting 3-shot kills even out to that range with those conditions, but that's not usually going to be those conditions. And even if one of you are moving, you or your target, let alone both of you, it's considerably harder to hit the slug shots. Like I'm just strafing with, you know, pretty much on target, and it still took almost the entire magazine at that range, with about half of the shots completely missing. So take that for what it's worth. You know, shotguns are as controversial as they are. We'll see how this one plays out. I don't really see a big issue with them. They just tend to be a controversial weapon since they can kill you so fast. But in terms of overall balance, I've never really had an issue with them, especially after how many nerfs they've received. Moving along, beyond the weapons, there are medic updates. Medics can now use battle rifles. I'm not even going to show that, just like they did that with whatchamacallit, heavies and engineers, and is it infils that can use them now too? I don't know. I really am not a huge fan of battle rifles. I think that's what they did in the infil class update, but I guess they're trying to get more exposure to them, so I guess all of the classes except for like light assault and max, I believe, I might be wrong and just sounding really stupid, can use them now. But for what that's worth, if that's something you like and you like playing medic, then there you go. Now you have more of a mid to long range option in that regard. Also has access to adrenaline pump, which is again what they did as part of the infill update. Not a suit slot that I usually go for or recommend, especially given how small of a benefit it gives while sprinting and not just while moving, but it is there. Triage, previously arguably one of the least efficient or effective asserts in the game, now has some merit to it. It might be worth at least just grabbing a passive point in it, or more, depending on how much you play medic and how much you care about it, as it'll heal people that are outside of your vehicle within 5 meters, very small range, but at least they don't have to be inside. If they're rearming at your center or something like that, that could be somewhat helpful, at least compared to not being at all. We also have the heal grenades, which previously were not often used over revive grenades, having their healing rate increased from 60 per second to 100 per second, detonating faster from 3 down to 2 seconds, and increasing the range to 10 meters. I guess I want to show a few more things, but I don't necessarily want people just shooting in the background constantly as far as the noise goes. Also, the last 2 ranks of the medic's default heal ability was not functioning properly as far as regenerating the timer during use, and that has been fixed now to match the cert descriptions. And the last rank now adds 1 meter to the ability's range, just as far as that works. I don't think there's really much I have to show there. I know there were some additional medic changes originally in the works that we might see in the future, kind of how the straight pole bolt got pulled out of the infill update and applied later. So I'd be on the lookout for that, things that maybe just couldn't make it into this patch. But there's your triage, there's your adrenaline pump, and there's your nano regen ability, just kind of updated, but the same one that you always had. We also have new cosmetic laser sights for all variants of the Commissioner and the Underboss. So if I grab one, let's see, gold and pink and white. 300 station cash since they are cosmetic. Up to you if that's worth it or not. But gold with gold sounds good, right? So, and I totally didn't apply it to this loadout. Just to give you an idea of what it looks like. There you go. I mean, laser sights unfortunately are not very, I mean, it looks pretty cool still, not very easily noticed by other players, kind of pointless from a competitive standpoint to actually have toggled on in your first person view. So take that for what it's worth. It's actually pink, even though it doesn't really look like it here. Maybe with higher graphic settings perhaps you could see it, or on other players you could see it with higher graphic settings, and that's the white. Looks very similar to the pink. It might just be because of the glow or my settings over here. But they're there if you like them. I'll come back to Howling Pass to show that. Decoy grenades are now functioning a bit more properly, placing false firing indicators on enemy minimaps and using proper upgraded weapon audio sounds. So that's cool. I don't know that I'd still really use them too much. You find a use for them, especially in competitive matches, like once in a blue moon, but for them to be functioning properly is never a bad thing. You also have Flash and Harasser handling updates. Really excited about this. The Harasser has had these changes enabled but not tuned yet, so you shouldn't really notice a difference, but the Flash has been updated to grip the ground a lot better, be less likely to spin out and less likely to flip. Really excited about that. Haven't gotten to try it yet, but Flash is my favorite vehicle, and that was always really frustrating. Gameplay improvements. Kind of a big one. Large outposts have galaxy access now if there are aircraft available at the outpost. So you're thinking of some of the really large 3-point cap bases for the most part, and I'm not going to necessarily go through everyone or anything like that, but keep an eye out for that as far as having places to pull galaxies as forward spawns that were not sank or tech plants or something like that. You have lightnings similarly available at all vehicle terminals, mostly meaning that they can be pulled now at the Flash or Sunder Harasser type of areas at smaller outposts. Reduce the Sunder no deploy exclusion between multiple Sunders to 65 meters. Spawning Harassers at the crown is much safer now. Revised explosion audio. I haven't gotten to try this out yet, but this is interesting because lots of times my sounds would feel very jumbled by things that are far away. And now explosions play different sounds for things that are close, even though 250 meters is still pretty far, and distant. Added extra magazine to the Zenith carbine to put it in line with the other carbines. The ping meter on the leaderboard has been replaced with more accurate network quality status, and if it's low, you'll be warned on your HUD. You can see that here in the tab on the bottom right. You still see your latency, and you see like a stoplight of sorts of how your connection's doing, as well as a verbal indicator. I guess it wouldn't be verbal, textual. Anywho, so that's that. There are a handful of bug fixes, largely client crashes and fixing terrain and fixing camo coverage and fixing reloads and animations and magazines and models and Araxian medals being earned on certain weapons that they couldn't be, the names of the ribbons being earned, being corrected to be properly notated, a bunch of stuff like that. Not a whole lot of like game-changing bug fixes in terms of stuff like this, but if there's anything that you want to read through, you definitely should. I don't want to just spend the time going through every single one. And the last thing that I will talk about is the Howling Pass to NS Material Storage update. That's the base south of Howling Pass, if you're unfamiliar with it. Hasn't previously been the most enjoyable base to conquer, as I know, at least from playing and practicing for Community Clash. That was not really a favorite of mine. So that has been improved, much like you've seen the changes with Coromed and enhanced targeting and other such implants. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Bases that have been made, kind of like one a month, Quartz Ridge and so on and so forth. So what we're talking about is gameplay between these two bases here, Howling Pass. Now you've got like different paths and different things. I'll run over there and show you what it looks like. But the notes. Large fields have been added for tank battles. Secure parking spots have been added for Sunders, making fighting along the stretch much more enjoyable. So I will fly on over there. I guess I'm coming from the south at this point. With some dev hacks. Forgive me, don't get nauseous. And just give you a brief overview at least. Thanks to RadarX and SOE for finally equipping me with the observer cam in a functional place where I can actually access it and not run into any issues and stuff like that. Really do appreciate it, and it helps immensely with stuff like this. So here we are at NS Material. There are a lot of prowlers. You should be familiar with the general layout of the base that has stayed largely the same. And you have, I guess I can zoom the map out a little bit. You have Howling Pass down there. Again, same with the base layout, but you're looking at a few different options over here. This is kind of getting over to whatchamacallit, the edge of Crimson Bluff. That's the name of that tower. And you have this road going on the far side. Not quite as it's kind of an interesting passage. Anyway, not quite as massive of a change as some of the other bases, but in an effort to I guess make the fighting a little bit better there, still find a ton of tanks hanging out here, ironically enough. That change has been made, and when I had read Howling Pass, I actually first thought that they were going to talk about making changes over to Abandoned NS, but that all looks the same as well. Anywho, this is what we're looking like as far as the changes go. I wouldn't say anything too massive on an overall scale. Here's the flattened area and your tank battle area, I guess. That's kind of more in between Crimson Bluff and NS though than anything. But it is definitely a bit less choke pointy, and the choke point is now just through here, with this area a bit more open for fighting, and on the other side as well. So I guess that's really where the big changes come in. The bases themselves have stayed largely the same, but I'm not much of a tank battle type of person, so you let me know how that works out for you. Anyway, this video is literally almost an hour, and every time I say it's not going to be, it probably is, so I should learn that by now. However, we're done, I think. I probably forgot something. I don't know. Hop in, enjoy your implants and medic update and all sorts of things, and let me know in the comments what you enjoy, what you're looking forward to, what you don't enjoy, what feedback you have. And be sure to tune into the stream over at ItZMuRdA.com. Especially this upcoming weekend, you've got another members only Double EXP weekend for Memorial Day weekend, and it should be a lot of fun. I'll be trying to stream as much as I can, finishing up a BR100 on my TR, and enjoying some of the new stuff. So I hope to see you guys over there. Thanks. Have a great holiday weekend, and we will be in touch. Take care.